So, this week's topic is on school vouchers. I somewhat have a relationship with school vouchers based on my current position working in a charter school. Um, Although we are receiving federal, we are receiving federal funding. That funding goes to our Title I program, our EC program, our Title II program, and Title IV. We don't have enough students to qualify for Title III, so we don't have money this year for Title III. We also receive state and local funding, and the funding comes from the counties that represents the students that we serve, such as Gaston, Mecklenburg, Lincoln, Cabarrus, one from Union, and I'm trying to think if there's another county. Oh, we have one from Catawba. But what I want to talk about student vouchers was based on the chapter and saving schools, and then from the articles that were set. So let's start with saving schools. I really thought it was interesting how it started just about 30 years ago in Wisconsin, and they had political buy-in from both parties. So I thought that was interesting how they formed the school vouchers to allow opportunities for students in low socioeconomic backgrounds to attend charter schools. I mean, not charter schools, but to attend private schools. And I thought it was interesting how they were able to use a lot of key players, especially one in St. Louis, to get involved in offering these vouchers to those students who don't have the opportunity to afford or pay to go to private school. I know that one mission in Wisconsin was to try to desegregate the school system, but apparently that didn't work, so it wasn't so successful. But from what I read there, I thought it was really interesting how Jeb Bush was involved and how it expanded to like 31,000 kids. So with his leadership, he allowed more school vouchers to become available for those kids who don't have the funding to go to private schools. And thought that was pretty interesting. The articles that I read ties into the North Carolina's ruling. And this ruling just happened about several years ago, in which it was state mandated that there should be school vouchers for North Carolina. So it says, based here, North Carolina had the opportunity, what they call a North Carolina Opportunity Scholarship Program. And instead of calling them vouchers, I know in the African American community, they call it vouchers. That sounds like it's too desperate. So say scholarship. So this North Carolina Scholarship Opportunity Program, which was approved by the North Carolina Supreme Court back in 2013, allowed these kids to have the opportunities to attend a private school. And from what I've read, that it was a 4-3 decision in which the majority won, and that's why they ruled in favor of that. The North Carolina Policy Watch was very interesting, and I was a little disturbed by that one. I'm just going to be honest with you. I was a little ticked off. I cannot believe that our representative, and I'm not talking about Republican and I'm not talking about Democrat, but our representative, Tom Tillis, spent $8,000 and some change just to fly to Florida to go to a conference. They paid for his flight, his expenses, and the other people that are around him. And that money stemmed from the American Federation for Children. And that's supposed to be going towards those kids who don't have an opportunity to attend private schools, but they spend it on representatives to fly to Florida and expensive hotel fees just to attend a American Federation for Children conference. Really? $8,300 to be exact? That was very discouraging. What was also interesting is that instead of the funding going toward those kids in low socioeconomic backgrounds, the funding is paying for $52,000 of advertisements. Really? That much for advertisements to help low socioeconomic kids to attend private schools? So what is really the money for? What's the whole purpose of the voucher? Is it actually working? Are these kids actually attending these schools? Are they getting the benefits of it? What kind of students are you selecting to attend these voucher schools? If you're paying all this money for this, it just sounds ridiculous. I'm not a big fan of that. So $52,000 worth of advertisements. What I read here is that the new law that the state approved was called HB 944, Opportunity Scholarship Act, and in which they allow vouchers to be in effect for those low socioeconomic students the opportunity to attend private schools. Curious to see how that works. I've never met anybody who took advantage of the voucher program. I'm curious to know how it's communicated to those kids in low socioeconomic backgrounds. How is it advertised? I read in Saving Schools that the school systems advertise it to those kids. But I've never, and let me tell you, I've been in 8 different school systems. I've never seen this advertised to our low socioeconomic kids. So where is the money really going to in North Carolina? How is it being used for this voucher program? Well, I can tell you one thing, it's definitely paying for the travel expenses and hotel costs and conference bill for our wonderful representatives of North Carolina, which I can't wait to vote today, but that's another topic. HB 26. I do like the fact that the children with disabilities are receiving scholarship funding for school because they should receive more funding to care for their needs. So I was in agreement with that. Another thing that I thought was interesting was SB 337, which boils down to what I stated before. Charter schools, that would be me. I know you guys hate me. I know. I get this hated stare and looks because I work at a charter school. Let me tell you, we are not that bad. Yes, we take money from your representative school systems. That helps fund our teachers and it helps fund the building. But we work just as hard as a regular school system like anybody else. So the SB 337, which is the North Carolina Charter School Board, it exempts charter schools the requirement to hire certified teachers. Let me just tell you this from Mountain Island Charter School. We hire everybody that has to be certified. Now, if we hire you, you have a college degree, and you're working towards your residence license, which is formerly known as your lateral entry license, we will hire you. We have teachers who are trying to complete their lateral entry requirements. So we have teachers who are getting into the residence license program. But we at our school believe 100% of you need to be licensed. If you're not licensed or fulfilling your license requirement by the time that your license expired, or you're not even making any efforts to improve your license, then that's when we just we do not renew your contract. I was going to say cut you off, but yeah, we don't renew your contract. According to this, it stated that 50% of our staff members are not required to be certified. Let me just tell you, and I heard it from the horse's mouth, and this is the guy in charge of licensure for NCDPI. He says that anybody that is hired, charters or public, they have to have a licensure background, or they have to be in a residency program or in a lateral entry program before they're hired. So that is no longer in existence anymore. Now, as far as the meals that SB 33 was talking about for meals in our charter schools, that we're not required to have a meal program and transportation, that is true. When I first started at my job at Mountain Island Charter School, we did not have a meal program, so our kids were bringing in their lunches. They still bring their lunches today because the food is awful. Now we have, you hear my daughter in the background, she said the food is bad, and so I'm having to make their lunches every day. Or two of them make their own lunches.
Not me.
I make your lunch. Anyway, basically, we have made a contract with a local vendor, a lunch program, in which we have lunches. And now that we have 25% of our kids who are on free reduced lunch, we are obligated to serve them lunches. So we do have a lunch program. As far as transportation, if our students are on free reduced lunch, we do not pay for the buses for them to ride. But for our other kids, our kids have to pay $350 a semester to ride the bus at designated neighborhoods around the school in order to be transported back and forth to the school. I think they changed it this year to $350 a year as opposed to a semester because a lot of parents complained that was too much. But our busing services have been pretty popular, and that kind of funds